What do you enjoy the most about what you do?
Well, the thing that gives me the most satisfaction on a human level is helping the clients. Helping the clients deal with a difficult time in their life when they've got a real problem that hopefully for them they don't have any experience in handling from prior experience, but helping them get through it by having been down the path so many times that we know what's coming next, and we can take the necessary steps to avoid any unfavorable consequences. But what gets me most excited and jazzed up is when an insurance company says we don't owe any money, and I think they do, proving that to them and collecting on the claim for the client. There was a few years ago in our valley, there was a group of young people that got horrendously injured. Some of them even got killed in a rollover, one of a church van that was coming back from building homes in Mexico. And our firm got hired to represent one of the young people, and there were about 12 other lawyers involved in the claim. And even though the church was well insured, there wasn't enough insurance money to adequately compensate everyone. So we held a mediation where all the insurance money was divided, and we tried to do it as fairly as possible. And when it was all done, I was reading the insurance policy and I said, I think there's another $1 million in coverage here. And I said that to the other lawyers, and they said, no, that's not, there's no more coverage here, Dennis. And I said, I'm going to take a run at it. Do you guys mind if I do that? And they said, no, be our guest. And we came to an agreement as how it would be divided among all the claimants at that point. And I told the insurance company I was going to do this, and their lawyer and their adjuster, and I'll never forget this, stood there and laughed in my face. And 5 years later, after having gone to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in the federal district, I got a check for $1.4 million for the kids, and that was really satisfying, and I'll never forget that.
What, again, related to Black Chapman, your partners, your staff, what really are you most proud of?
We have a very large organization, and there are a lot of our competitors say, well, too much of your operation is eaten up by overhead, Dennis. There's not enough profit in it. And, I would rather do the job right and maybe take home less money each month than cut corners, not give our clients the service I think they deserve and they need. And I can't do it all myself, so we have an excellent staff that, from our receptionist, who I think is the greatest receptionist I've ever worked with in over 30 years of working in offices, to the paralegals and the investigator. It's just a pleasure to work with these quality people. And I know most of our clients don't understand, even when they're done, what great service they've gotten from our staff, because they have no basis of comparison. Occasionally we'll have somebody who fires another lawyer who comes in, and at the end of the case, we send out a survey to every person that we've represented and ask them for their reaction, and we get back reactions that tell us how much the people appreciate the level of service they've gotten from our organization. And that's really something I'm most proud of about this law firm and the way we do business.
Questions. is there a statute of limitations on personal injury cases?
It's really impossible to answer that question adequately in this medium because it's so fact dependent. In other words, the statute of limitations is a function of what happened to the person, how they got injured, by whom they got injured. The one thing I would say that's really important for everybody to understand is they need to find out what the statute of limitations is that pertains to their particular claim, because they can be as short as 180 days from the date of the incident. And the statute of limitations, both in California and in Oregon, that people hear about most is 2 years from the date of the incident, and that's probably true for the majority of claims. But there are special statutes of limitations, some of which are quite a bit shorter than that, that people need to check into before they go ahead and try to handle the claim on their own, or before they get too far into the claim. So it's important to get accurate information by consulting with a lawyer early on in the claim, even if you're not going to hire a lawyer. A lot of people actually don't need a lawyer to represent them. And I've come to realize, after over 30 years of working for people who've been injured, that nobody gets in an auto accident or gets injured some other way and says, yippee, I get to go hire a personal injury lawyer now. And I used to take that personally myself, and when I was a younger man, and now I understand that we do add a layer of problems to people's lives. It's more appointments they have to go to, another institution, a law firm in this case, that they have to deal with. And if it can be avoided on a simple case, we often recommend to people that they don't need to hire us. There's one, it's sort of like doing your taxes. A lot of people buy TurboTax, they're willing to pull out their hair for a weekend and go through their paperwork and do it themselves. Other people want to hand it over to a professional to get the job done, and that's the route they choose to go. It's for people with simple, uncomplicated claims where the injuries aren't too serious, it's really a matter of personal choice, as long as the insurance company is willing to deal with you, which they aren't always. But the one time when people do need a lawyer is when everything's on the line, when their livelihood is threatened by their injuries. In other words, they're not going to be able to get back to work at the job where they've earned their living, and they're wondering how they're going to be able to support themselves and their family for the rest of their working life, or if they need ongoing medical care, sometimes lifetime medical care. Those people all need lawyers because they're up against an industry that employs thousands of competent, hardworking people who are there 40 hours a week to make sure that people's claims are either denied or minimized. And people who are injured to that extent always need a professional on their side.